Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation is the history of Hanukkah, part 3, timing after Alexander. I know that the time frame is a little different in that it is 8-something a.m. in the East Coast on a weekday. Nonetheless, brothers and sisters, with the time allotted, a brother wanted to sit there and bring this out to the masses of the people. One can watch it now, or when it's uploaded, one can sit there and watch it then. I asked you all to comment, like, share, and subscribe. I also asked you to read the description so you can sit there and see the books and the information and the links of such for those who are interested. We hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. This presentation is not intended to be long, but necessary. Brothers and sisters, we want to keep the channel active. We want to bring this out to the masses of the people. And again, I am open to constructive criticism. Brothers and sisters, in this particular matter and in this particular presentation, we hope and pray that, again, everybody is well and will be better. We do not profess to know everything, and it may seem redundant, but we are open, brothers and sisters, to, yes, constructive criticism. And again, asking you to comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let us, brothers and sisters, get into this. This is on the channels, More Than Yeshaya Torah Lessons, as well as More Yeshaya History Lessons, as well as the Facebook page, Yeshaya Author Danite. All right, so let us, without any further ado, brothers and sisters, bring this out to the people. We are going to, brothers and sisters, start off in prayer and move on from there. Thank you for that. Hallelujah. Most High, King of all fathers, the King of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God shall protect us from danger seen and unseen throughout the course of the day and every day. And we thank you for being with us in times of the past. Whether we knew you were there or not, whether we acknowledge that you were there or not, we do so at this time, O God. King of all that there is, we say thank you for being with our loved ones, O God. Being with us throughout the night and throughout the rest of these days. Cause this day to be prosperous and blessed, O King, for you are the one who gives and take away. Therefore, we ask you, O King, to take away the negativity, to take away the problems, to take away the stagnation, to take away the procrastination. We ask for all these things in your name, Yah only. Hallelujah. Brothers and sisters, let us pull up the PowerPoint in this particular case and start from there. We are going to ask you all to get your Apocryphas. We're going to ask you all to get your scriptures, because we will be reading in it. Shalom, my brother, Adonaiah. And anyone else, brothers and sisters, that is inside the Facebook page as we get into this particular matter. Again, I know and understand this may be a very odd time to be doing this, but we do know at the same token that it has been procrastinated and it has been postponed and procrastinated and postponed. So when the brothers in the Ruach can have the time to do it, I'd like to sit there and present this to the people. Welcome to Danitepublications. This is Hanukkah part 3. In this, we will discuss the history and matter of Hanukkah and the items associated with it. We want to point out the items associated with it. For those who are interested, we do welcome screenshots of the PowerPoints. We hope and pray that everyone is well and will be better. Subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. Thank you for that. First Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 1 through 3 and 13 in speech. Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen and removed them out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in on the camp of the Jews, that is to say of Judah, and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army, which was at Emmaus. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded the trumpets. Now, brothers and sisters, what do we want to point out is that the people who were of the Seleucids were intending brothers and sisters, to start a war against the house of Israel. So as we going over and say part 2 of this, it says that the fame of Judas Maccabeus was known in his day and time. And as we go over in chapter 2, which was also in part 1, we get into the presentation that Matthias set Judas Maccabeus up as to be the one to go in and out regarding the battle and so forth. All right. Now, in the last presentation we did concerning Hanukkah part 2, and we do know that today's date, December 20th, that Hanukkah has already passed, but we want to continue in giving the full presentation to the best of our ability, regardless of the dating. So, brothers and sisters, and looking at it in this case right here, we want to say, let's go back, if we will. I'm going to read in First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 58. And Yahudah said, arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see that you be in readiness against the morning, that we might fight against these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us in our sanctuary. For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people in our sanctuary. So, with the situation of the people going through famine, going through the fact of no marriages, going through the fact of broken homes, going through the fact of disunity, going through the fact of procrastination, you need it on a human level with the spirit of the Most High to sit there and have somebody move people spiritually, emotionally, and so forth to be able to want to get into a particular matter. We want to point that out for reference purposes. So now, these people who were of the Seleucids, all right, and Lysias, and the people that were under him, Nicanor, Ptolemy, and Gorgias, and so forth, they still was going up against the house of Israel and what they wanted to do against the Israelites. So when Yahudah Maccabee in chapter 3 is saying, be ready against the morning, the Greek army was already preparing to do what they wanted to do at night too, as it says in verse 2, that he might rush in upon the camp of the Israelites or the Jews, which we know is of Judah. You understand? Something that we want to point out. They didn't go to sleep on the house of Israel in battle. But let's see what happens in this particular case. All right, let's go in, brothers and sisters. Numbers chapter 10, you want to read for Torah purposes. And Yah spake unto Moshe, saying, and the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journey into the camps. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow but 1 trumpet, then the princes, which are the heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee. When you blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east parts shall go forward. And when you blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, you shall blow, but you shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations. And you shall go to, and if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered before Yah your God, and you shall be saved from your enemies. So, brothers and sisters, for the lack of a better term, a ritual or something that was to be done, the people were to blow with the trumpets. Why does that become important? Because just as we read here, it says in First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 13, when they went out of the camp to battle, wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judah sounded the trumpets. So it is important in this particular case in sounding of the trumpets, brothers and sisters. There was a ritual, there was a culture, all right, that the people was doing in this particular case. So now in the wilderness, you had the tribes that were on the north, south, east, and west side, all right? And in the center of all of that, there were the Levites that was there. So this is something we just wanted to show the importance of the matter, say, with the trumpets in this particular case, all right? If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. Now, this is one of the matters of how the trumpet would be. It says of 1 silver piece, brothers and sisters, this was to sit there and be made. All right. And of that silver piece, you take it and you mold it to the shape for it to say to become a trumpet in this particular case. Now, the Hebrew word for the word trumpet is kazotra. All right. Just want to point that out for reference purposes. The Hebrew word for horn is queren. All right. So this is something we want to point out. So you had in ancient times the shofar, which is the ram's horn, and then you also had the kazotra, which is the trumpet. And those were some of the horns that were used in this particular case regarding the house of Israel, with calling out whether you're making an alarm or not in this particular case. One of the things to point out is when the people are to be assembled, they do it with the horns. That's how you get the attention. But it also says at the same token, you don't sound an alarm. You only sound an alarm when it's a matter with a battle, because you don't want the people, brothers and sisters, to sit there and be alarmed for something that's not necessary. All right. So let's continue in this particular case. Thank you for that. We want to pay attention to this, asking you all to subscribe to the channel. Again, this is on Mordeh Yeshaya Torah lessons and Mordeh Yeshaya history lessons, brothers and sisters. Let us look at this, brothers and sisters. Now, this is sometime on the left-hand side after the matter with the Maccabees. And one of the things we want to point out, as many do point out, you have the menorah. We want to show that shown, say, in the black highlighter, if you will, there, right? But we also, brothers and sisters, want to show with the yellow highlighter, this here. So we want you to pay attention, if we will. This is what they call the archititis. Do you know what they were carrying there? The horns. Those were the horns, brothers and sisters, that the people were carrying. Now, on the right-hand side, yes, we're asking you to subscribe to what channel you're listening to, asking you to comment, like, and share as well. But those are 2 of the trumpets. That's just an image of how they would look, brothers and sisters. And this, what we see here, is a commemoration that Domitian of Rome made for his brother Titus, that you still see in Rome to this day, when they took artifacts out of Jerusalem and brought them to, let me find out, I think the Vatican, not to sit there and say that's where it's at, but that's what many people have thought. Brothers and sisters, taking things of another people and bringing it into your land is a custom that we see done in museums of today. We see it done, brothers and sisters, in places of adornment today. Brothers and sisters, I have a list by looking up African artwork in museums. They got them in Belgium, Sweden, British Museum, the museum over by where I'm at in New York, and so forth and so on and all of that. So this is not a uncommon practice to take the artifacts of our people and bring it over into your libraries, your museums, and so forth and so on. It's been going on, as we see here, for centuries. Any questions or comments concerning this, please feel free to type it into the chat. Thank you. And he said to the people, be not greedy for the spoil, inasmuch as there is a battle before us. And Gorgias and his hosts are here by us in the mountain. But stand ye now against our enemies and overcome them. And after this you may boldly take the spoils. What do we want to point out? That Yehuda Maccabee is telling the people what? Brothers and sisters, and he said to the people, be not greedy of the spoil, inasmuch as there is a battle before us. Certain things take priority. We find out in senior life, brothers and sisters. If you have a battle, you have a situation you must deal with. You don't sit there and look, oh, I'm going to get this later. Deal with that later and deal with what is important first. I was told something when I was 9 years old by my stepfather. May the Most High continue to bless his life. There was a drama situation going on and the police got involved in all of that. And I remember asking questions about it. And I was told from him, it may have seemed harsh, but I was told from him, mind your business. Now, I could take that and be at 9 years old in my feelings, Or I could take it and be like, you know what? I'm going to do just that. I'm going to mind my business. And I took that at 9 years old and began to read encyclopedias. I began to sit there and call myself trying to be an artist, which did not work out with me with the drawing. And then I started reading Webster's dictionaries. And then I started sitting and going into libraries inside the schools and so forth and so on when I was even in elementary and junior high school. See, I was minding my business. And this is not to sound haughty or belligerent. Now when you see a brother producing books, now when you see a brother going live online, this is the product, I'm giving thanks to the Most High, of when you mind your business. When you handling what your business is about, be about your business. As the saying goes, it shows itself as time goes along in productivity and in presentations. Whether the presentations be it food, be it music, be it live streams, be it history, be it whatever it may be, brothers and sisters, you can tell, not to be haughty, giving thanks to the Most High, giving thanks on the human level to my teachers who taught me. It shows itself. So brothers and sisters, let us continue in this. As Judas was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who, when they perceived that the Jews or Judah had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas and the plain ready to fight, they fled every one into the camp of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver and blue silk and purple of the sea, and great riches. After this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven, the Most High, because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Thus Israel had deliverance that day. So the battle that they was going to be having and did have at Emmaus and so forth and so on, and other ones, just as we went over before the last presentation with the Beteron matter and so on, Israel was winning. But the advice that Judas was given and the encouragement is that if you look at your forefathers who stayed with the Most High and how it became prosperous, if you look, brothers and sisters, at what happened in rank and order and file, he said, don't be greedy. Deal with the spoils after. There's a time and place for everything. Minding your business is a good thing. It means that you're dedicated and focused to what your mind is at. You understand? And so now looking at this, brothers and sisters, getting into this, if we will, it goes on to say, let's continue with this family. Thank you for that. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened, who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such thing as he were done unto Israel, nor such things as the king commanded him will come to pass. The next year, therefore, following Lysias, gathered together 70,000 choice men of foot and 5,000 horsemen, that he might subdue them. So they came into Idumea. Remember last time we spoke about Edom on the map, and I said, shh, Idumea, Edom, and how it was important? Let's see what happens. So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents at Bethsura. And Judas, or that's to say Judah Maccabee, met them with 10,000 footmen. So brothers and sisters, Yehuda Maccabee having with him, what? 10,000 footmen. And the other guy had 70,000. Now, score is 20, so 3 scores 60. 60,000 choice men of foot. So you have 60,000 footmen versus 10,000 footmen. Let's see what happens. And when he saw the mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who didst quell the violence of the mighty man, by the hand of thy servant David, and gavest the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Shaul, and his armor bearer. Now, see how they always talk about in Maccabees, their history, the situation, as in this case here with David and his friend Jonathan, the son of Saul. Now, who he was talking about was when they went against the Philistines. So we want to point that out. Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Yisrael, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Some people trust in their chariots, some people trust in their horsemen, some people trust in their flesh. But brothers and sisters, when you're trusting in the Most High, you can't go wrong. And these are things we want to point out for reference purposes. Let's see what happens. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving. So when we give thanksgiving, it's, brothers and sisters, is to be delivered from our enemies, not the fact that we slaughtered our enemies. We want to sit there and make the distinction to be known in this particular case. So as we pointed out last time on History of Hanukkah Part 2, it says, let them be gathered together for battle and then pray. Remember, just like a young man was told at 9, mind your business, handle your business, and then reap the rewards. Reap the spoils of war after you handle your business. You don't sit there and go for the reward before you sit there and put the work in. There are certain life principles that we can sit there and see once it comes down to that. In the way of the academics, pardon me, yeah, academics as well, but also with the gym and everything like that. We talk about clean gyms, not the gyms that the Antiochus people made. They'll tell you no pain, no gain. I know of a brother in Israel, my body trainer, if I want to put it in terms like that. I asked him advice and everything. And I said, well, how do get to be, that kind of, built up, get your muscles together and so forth. And say, work on your diet here, exercise here, get your rest there. You got to sit there and put in that work, brothers and sisters, and ask those to sit there and for assistance who sat there and achieved what you want to get, whatever it may be. I feel honored when brothers and sisters ask me, well, brother, you wrote books. How do I sit there and get that? I feel honored when brothers and sisters ask me that, because one is giving honor to the Most High, and two, people respect you to want to ask you your opinion, your wisdom, and your advice on the subject. Be teachable, Moray. And so these are things we care to point out for reference purposes. Goes on to say, if we will. So they joined battle, and there was slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. Now, when Lysias saw that his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judas's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers, and having made his army greater than it was, he purposed to come again into Judea. So this guy done went back into where Syria was, where Antioch was, where the Seleucid kingdom was at, got people who were better than the people that were slain and so forth to go back into Judea. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up and cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. So brothers and sisters, you had to sit there and get rid of the problem before the cleaning started. You blow with the horns, you get the people to be known that war is coming. You encourage the people. You talk about the good deeds, say, of David and Jonathan and so forth. And then after that, having already told the people, don't be greedy of the spoils, stay focused. Don't sit there and be like, yeah, your eyes getting bigger than your pockets, so to speak. Handle the business, and then we can sit there and get spoils. And then ultimately we want to cleanse our place of worship, our sanctuary, if we will. These are things, brothers and sisters, we care to point out for reference purposes. Any questions or comments, please, again, feel free to type it into the chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, brothers and sisters, remember we spoke before about the menorah and the horns, as we showed earlier, right? I'm going to be reading with the time allotted, giving thanks unto the Most High, creator, maker of heaven and earth. And we're going to be reading in First Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 47. I didn't type it all into that, but I'm going to be reading it. It goes on to say this. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels and into the temple. And they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense in the table. And upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves on the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works that they had begun to make. Now, in the 5th and 20th day of the month, of the 9th month, which is called the month Kislev, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law, upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look, at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even and that was is dedicated with songs and cisterns and harps and timbrels, and cymbals. Verse 55. We are in First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 55 to read it through. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them great success, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrifice, the sacrifice of deliverance with praise. See, they were celebrating and giving thanks for being delivered, not that anybody else fell, brothers and sisters. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Yahudah, Judah, and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 5th and 20th day of the month of Kislev, with myrrh and gladness. In that time also they built up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down, as they had done before. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bet Surah to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. Idumea, mentioned in First Maccabees 4, verse 61, is Edom. Last time we spoke upon it, we spoke upon the matter of Edom, brothers and sisters. Why does that become important as we close out this particular presentation? The Edomites or the Idumeans were friends and comrades with the nations that were against the Israelites. So much so, you might see in the Dead Sea Scrolls that when Rome later on came against Israel, the Dead Sea Scrolls said that Edom was coming against Israel. That is not to say that the Romans and the Edomites are one and the same people. But if Rome is a distant relative through Japhet, and Edom is a direct relative through Isaac, your writings are going to say, why would my nation brother, my brotherly nation, come against me? That's going to make more of an impression. Case in point, in ancient days, when you read in Isaiah chapter 7, the planned war that the northern kingdom of Israel, by joining with the Arameans, going against the southern kingdom of Judah, Judah is going to be more concerned about the tribes of the northern tribes of Israel, their national brothers, going against them than the Arameans. They would probably expect the Arameans to do so before the other Israelite tribes to go against them. You understand? So, brothers and sisters, when you begin to see, as we was pointing out in this particular case, about the nation, what was going on, why the Maccabees was doing what they were doing, and so forth and so on. We can, brothers and sisters, begin to sit there and see what edification purposes, the ornaments that we were talking about, the altar. We showed earlier with the Arch of Titus that they carried the menorah out. That being sometime after the timing of Judas Maccabeus in an era with that in 70, 71 AD, if you will. Because for those who do know the history, and this is going to be presented again on the channel Mora Yeshaya History Lessons, we intend to do a presentation called From Kemet to Compton, Part 4. There's going to be a lot of dates, names, places, maps to show what we're talking about for edification purposes. These are two images of a menorah. Any menorah that doesn't have 3 branches coming from the center branch is not the menorah that the scriptures is talking about in imagery. You understand? So sometimes they got it with 4 of them going out. That's not what the book is talking about in this case. All right. So again, any questions, comments, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let's continue, family. Now, what you're seeing here on the left-hand side is the burnt offering, altar of burnt offerings, an image of such. All right. We want to show this for reference purposes. Acacia wood covered in pure gold, 3 feet tall by 1.5 feet wide by 1.5 feet long. Twice daily burning of the incense was by the high priest, symbolized the prayers of the people before the presence of the Most High. So what you're seeing on, brothers and sisters, the right-hand side is the altar of incense. 2 different altars. The altar of burnt offering that was of brass. And then as you see here, we want to point out by the highlighter, if we will, here, that right there was to catch the ashes that we see right here. You don't burn things, that's to say you don't put fire, should I say, on the altar of incense. You just burn the incense on the altar of such. One is of brass and one is of gold. So we just want to show the distinction between the two. All right, let's continue with this, brothers and sisters. Now, what we're seeing right here, brothers and sisters, is how the table of showbread would look. Remember, we read in Maccabees chapter 4 about them rededicating everything and building up the walls of Zion and making a defense against it. Against whom? Edom. We want to point that out as we get into other matters on these platforms. So we already showed the menorah, which is the candlestick. We already showed the table of incense. We already showed, pardon me, the altar of incense and the altar of burnt offerings, 2 different altars. And then you have here the table of showbread. So just want to point that out for reference purposes. Again, we want to talk about the matter of the bronze altar for burnt offering, right? Stood in the outer courtyard with the poles removed. It was a hollow wooden box overlaid with bronze, measuring 4.5 feet high and 7.5 feet long and wide. There was a bronze grating on the top and on the sides of the altar. So this grating, brothers and sisters, that we were talking about, brothers and sisters, right, is to catch the ashes once it comes down to the matter of it. These are things that the Maccabees were using in rededicating the temple and so forth. All right. Now, if we were to take out the time, if we go back into Maccabees chapter 1, brothers and sisters, right? One of the things that they were trying to do in Hellenism is to rid the Hebrews, the Israelites, of the culture of their own people. It goes to say here, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, and that everyone should leave his laws, and that everyone should leave his laws. So when you go back into First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 21, it says Judas Maccabeus is saying, but we fight for our lives and our laws. So the laws of a people, the rules and regulations, Ultimately, the culture of a people is what the Maccabees was fighting for. So now when we talk about the rededication or Hanukkah, they were rededicating their lives, they was rededicating their families, they was rededicating the temple. And in having that, they had to get rid of the Hellenistic matter and so forth and so on. So it was a survival for the fittest in layman terms. Who's going to sit there and represent for your own culture, your own people, and so forth? So these are things we just care to show for reference purposes. History presentation, December 24th, this coming said Sunday. As we pointed out from Kemet to Compton, part 4, the final, there's a part 1, 2, 3 of that from Kemet to Compton. This is going to be part 4 coming up and so forth and so on. Also, brothers and sisters, for those interested, for those who do know, there's going to be a presentation at 4 p.m. the 24th, this coming Sunday. And it is on a different channel as well as mine called The Lion's Den. And I'm going to present the information regarding the book, why I wrote the book, the purpose in me writing books and so forth and so on. And the book I'm focusing on of all of the books is what you see right there on the left-hand side from Avaris, Alabama. Avaris was a place in Egypt. It was called Perunefer at one point. It was called Pira-Amses at one point. It was called Hutwawet at one point. It's now referred to as Avaris and Tel Oda'a. And when you go into history, during the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, that's where the Israelites were. When you start talking about Goshen and things like that, that you see of in Genesis, as well as in Exodus. So, again, and giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. These are things that, brothers and sisters, we care to point out for reference purposes. We do know that this was an odd time to do it on a weekday morning before 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but a brother was in the spirit and at the time and wanted to get this out to the people. I hope and pray that the Most High has accepted us and will continue to accept us, heal, guide, and protect us. The presentation is concluded. I can be reached at the number 908-587-4841. You can, brothers and sisters, sit there and see that, if you will, inside of the description. We want to, brothers and sisters, Deuteronomy 28, History Untold to the Masses. This is a book here, all right? In this particular case, if we will. This book explains the history of the people who eventually became the Israelites. It explains how Israelite culture, the Torah, shows one to be accountable. The verses of Deuteronomy 28 is explained in detail and how it relates to the ancient Israelites and modern Israelites, our people. This book refutes the claim that the Egypt by ships was fulfilled in the era of Titus of Rome. This book, brothers and sisters, until this coming Sunday, is online. Instead of $30, it's available for $25 for those who are interested. For the brothers and sisters who I do know and do keep communication with, who ask for a signed copy of the book, they will be mailed out this week. A brother is not swindling, trying to get over, or anything of that kind of sort. So just want to point that out for reference purposes. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. The presentation is concluded. We hope and pray that you all are well and will be better. Let us, brothers and sisters, have prayer and then close out. Haye, Kaya, be with your people, Yah. Honor times being, forsake us not. Shema'enu, Yah, hear us. Ta'anenu, Yah, answer us. Oshiyenu, Yah, save us. Ki ata ha'el ha'shomeya, ata ha'el ha'one, ata ha'el ha'moshia. For you are the God who hears and answers and saves. Hallelujah. Amen. I can be reached, brothers and sisters, at the number 908-587-4841. I can be reached. I'm going to put it inside of the Facebook part as well. 908-587-4841. Thank you for that. Most I be with you all. Shalom.